Good morning, third grade friends. Welcome back after winter break. Today is Monday, January 4th, 2021. We made it. We're going to get started right where we picked off, and we are going to look at a new story this week from our Reading Street series. It's called Seeing Stars. It's nonfiction with a science connection that I think you'll really enjoy coming back from winter break. And let's take a look at what's it all about this week. We are in the middle of Unit 3 in our Reading Street series, and Unit 3 is about using and understanding nature. So our story this week is going to be investigating nature. When you investigate, you learn something new. You do some research or you do some problem solving. Your big three this week: word work, spelling, and phonics. We're going to talk about some letters and the sounds that they make. For comprehension, we're going to do a review of text features and graphic sources. And for vocabulary, we have some science connections in our weekly words. Our genre of the story this week is expository text. We heard some of that before winter break. That is nonfiction that gives you just the facts, which means that the author's purpose is to inform. So let's take a look at all of these things one at a time. The question of the week asks, what can we learn about nature by investigating? And in our video, they're going to show you some ways that you can do that. So let's take a look at this. It's our first video after winter break. So if my technology gets stuck or if yours starts to lag, hang in there and I'll send you these videos out after. Investigating nature. Here we go.
What can we learn about nature by investigating?
We can learn about weather and animals.
That's right. Scientists spend a good deal of time trying to detect how nature, and especially weather, change animals' behaviors. Some animals are very sensitive to changes in the weather. For example, a temperature drop of just 5 degrees can change the way that starfish eat. And that can affect other species that live in the ocean. Scientists use various tools to investigate microscopic forms of life, and methods like field observations to investigate larger forms and changes among them. By spending time outside, scientists can observe when animals are most active. Some animals, like deer, are most active at dusk or twilight. So any changes in this behavior might alert a scientist. This week, you will learn how nature affects animal behavior and how nature contains patterns. What can you learn about nature by investigating?
In our video, they told us that scientists and people can investigate nature by using some strategies and tools that you do and use to investigate or learn something new about anything. They use tools, they use their eyes, they learn things, they do research. To investigate, you get to learn new things and learn new information. So our story this week is called Seeing Stars, and it is about investigating the outer space and the solar system, which is not something we can just go out and look at and touch. So we can use some of those strategies. And I think you're really going to like the story when we get to it at the end of our meets. Okay, so the spelling, the word work skill, the spelling and phonics situation that we're looking at this week for your test on Friday is something called spellings of the letters J, S, and K. And that sounds crazy because how do you spell a letter? Well, these letters are... Miss Signorino hates these letters. They don't make any sense because they make weird different sounds. So different letters and different letter groupings make the sounds that we think of when we see these letters. So let's take a look at some of these. It's pretty interesting when you really think about what these letters look and sound like. So this is a picture of cereal.
Cereal.
And this word cereal starts with C-E, and some words might start with C-I, and they synergize to make the S sound, the soft C sound. Sometimes we'll hear that S sound and we think it's S, but it's not. It's a C. So here's an example. In cereal.
Cereal.
Crazy, I know. Here's a giraffe.
Giraffe.
And this giraffe, kind of like the SE, or the CE, I'm sorry, you have the letter G, and if it's followed by an I or an E, it makes the soft sound like a J.
Giraffe.
So if I see GI together or GE together, it's probably going to make the sound that the J would normally make. So here's a jacket.
Jacket.
And it's just reminding you that anytime you see the J, it's still going to make that just sound. There's no question about it. I see a J, it's going to make the just sound. So I've got a J in jacket, and it does exactly what it's supposed to do.
Jacket.
So that's exciting. Same thing here with this kite.
Kite.
The K makes that, it's kind of like a hard C sound, the K sound that you expect the K to make. And it's here in the word kite.
Kite.
Now it's going to get kind of weird again. Here's a CH. And when we think of CH, we think of the digraph. The C and the H work together to make that sound. But the CH in this word,
school,
if it's in the middle of a word, it can make a sound like the K sound. School.
School.
It's crazy, I know it. But it's another way that if you sound it out with the ch sound and it doesn't quite make sense, you can try the hard sound, the k sound, and it might make a K. Sometimes the K needs some help, so he gets his friend C to come with him and they synergize, like the word lock.
Lock.
The C and the K work together to make that sound. And then there are just some crazy ones, like the word bridge.
Bridge.
The DGE comes together to make a sound that sounds just like the letter J. It's crazy, which makes words like these really hard to spell, but learning these strategies will make it easier to recognize the words when we read them.
Bridge.
Bridge. On your test on Friday, you're going to have some words, and it's going to ask you what sound do those letters make, and we're going to look at them together and figure out what sound it makes. So, different spellings of the letter sounds for J, S, and K. Second order of business in our big three is our comprehension. This is a review of text features. We've also called them graphic sources. We see these a lot in nonfiction text, mostly in nonfiction text, because it gives us more information, or it breaks up a lot of words with some pictures and charts and graphs to help us understand the information. We're going to head to Brain Pop, and the video is, I think, 4 minutes long. If it starts to get stuck on your side, I will send the video out after the meet. But for the lesson to record for the friends who aren't here today, we're just going to hang in there. If your video gets stuck, let's just listen to what Annie and Moby are going to tell us about reading nonfiction and using text features.
Selden's lost his skin? Don't be upset, Moby. I think it's normal for snakes to lose their skin. But we better look it up in a book to be sure. No, not a storybook. A nonfiction book. What is nonfiction? Nonfiction writing is about real people, places, or events. It shares information and facts to help explain things. Newspapers, magazines, and textbooks are all kinds of nonfiction. And biographies are nonfiction books that tell you about someone's life. A diary can be nonfiction too. Hey, wait, whose diary is that? Nonfiction books look pretty different from fiction books. What are the parts of a nonfiction book? Well, the first part is the title. That's the name of the book. This one's called Caring for Snakes. There's the table of contents, which lists all the chapters and what pages they're on. You can read the table of contents to see if the book will tell you what you want to know. Let's see. This book has a chapter about snakeskin. Perfect. Some books have a glossary in the back. A glossary tells the definition of words that come up in the book. Well, kind of like a dictionary, except a lot smaller. Some books also have an index. The index lists words and topics in the book and the pages where they come up. Let's see. Snakeskin. Skin. Wow, there are tons of pages that have information about it. Now I think we're ready to start reading. But how do you read a nonfiction book? There's a lot of information in this book. So I'm going to read the book in small sections and stop and think about what I read. Snakes shed their skin as they grow. Let me think. I guess snakes need to shed their old skin and grow new skin as they get bigger. Their skin doesn't grow with their body like mine does. Cool. I know I understood what I read because I could put it in my own words. You're right, Moby. Looking at the pictures is important too. The caption is the writing underneath the picture that gives us more information. This caption says, snake skin is made of scales. The word scales is in bold, so I know the author wanted me to notice it. And the label shows us where the scales are. This book has a ton of information to remember. How can I take notes as I read nonfiction? No one can remember everything they read, so it can help to write down some things. Thanks, Moby. A graphic organizer can help you keep track of important details, like a timeline, word web, or KWL chart. We know that Selden shed his skin. We want to know if it's normal for snakes to shed. We learned that snakes shed their skin as they grow. What? Oh no! Selden's loose? Where did he go?
Moby is always a good time. So, quick review of text features and graphic sources. Those are things like the table of contents and the glossary and charts and pictures and graphs and illustrations and things that give us more information about what we're reading to teach us something new and to break up lots of words. So that's a biggie. We're going to talk about more about that tomorrow. The third biggie that we look at in reading is your vocabulary. And we have, I think it's 7, it's going to show me now, 6 or 7 vocabulary words this week that have a science connection to our story. Take a real quick look. We have 7. The first word is dim.
Dim. Somewhat dark, not very bright. When the flashlight grew dim, the campers could not find the tent.
So dim talks about a not so bright lights. If you can remember going to the movie theater and right before the movie starts, the lights are on and then they get darker and darker and darker until the movie begins. The lights are dimming. They're getting darker as you go on. It's not very bright. Word number 2 is gas.
Gas.
And I know you're laughing, but this is a connection to a part of science.
A substance that is neither a liquid or a solid and that has the ability to expand indefinitely.
So it's not liquid. It's not something that you can hold or a solid. It's the other one. It's like steam is an example of a gas.
If you boil water, it evaporates and becomes a gas.
So in your story, when you watch the video after this, you're going to see examples of gases in space. It's going to make more sense. Gigantic.
Gigantic.
This is an adjective. It's describing something.
Very large, tall, or bulky. The Great Pyramids are gigantic ancient buildings.
Gigantic is something very large, very big. You might think an elephant is gigantic. Some buildings can be gigantic. It's just very big. This word is ladle. Here's a picture of a ladle. It's a tool you use to serve soup. And it's got a really cool connection in our story that you're really going to like.
Ladle. A large spoon with a long handle. Could you please use a ladle to serve the soup?
I know right now you're thinking, Miss Falone, you said we're talking about a science story that's just the facts about outer space, and the word I need to know is ladle to eat soup. That's kind of crazy. And I agree that it's kind of crazy, but it makes a really cool connection in your story. So make sure that you are listening to the whole story at the end of the meet so you can find that cool connection and you can tell us about it tomorrow during reading and show off how cool you are. Next word is patterns. We see patterns in math, we see patterns in art, and we're going to see patterns in our science story.
Repeated decorative designs.
Repeated decorative designs.
The patterns on butterfly wings can be very elaborate.
So our sentence gives us a bit of a science connection already. As an example, the patterns on butterflies are elaborate. If you were with Miss Signorino and I on the first days of school, you designed your own pattern on those little canvas blocks and we put your woodland animal on it. So a pattern is a design that you repeat. Here's our next word.
Shine.
Shine.
To give out light.
In our first word, dim, it gave us the example that they were shining the light of the flashlight.
Stars shine brighter in the country than in the city.
So shine is to give light, and our last word is temperature. Here's a picture of a thermometer. It's a tool that tells temperature.
Temperature. The degree of heat or cold. When the temperature reaches 90 degrees, I'm going swimming.
When the temperature reaches 90 degrees, it's warm, so you can go swimming. The temperature outside today is in the 20s or the 30s. I don't know where it is now. It's very cold. So when the temperature is a low number, it's very cold, and when it's a high number, it's pretty warm. Those are your 7 vocabulary words. We're going to do more work with that on Thursday to prepare for our Friday test, and you're going to see these in action in our story in just a few minutes. In our comprehension section where we talked about text features, we talked about that nonfiction is just the facts. Our genre is expository text, which means the author's purpose is to inform. When the author informs, it gives you new information. If it's a science book or a textbook or it's giving you just facts, then it's something to inform you. You're going to take all of our reading stuff for this week and put it all together when you do your Google Form activity. It's in the Google Classroom. It says Monday, January 4th reading. The form is called Seeing Stars, and it looks like this. When you click on it, you've got a picture of the sky on top. Then it says Seeing Stars, directions. Read carefully and choose the best answer. When you pull down, it says watch the story of the week. It's going to open in this box. It's 9 minutes and 50 seconds, so it's almost 10 minutes.
Seeing stars.
But you need to watch the video to answer the questions. If your screen looks weird like mine and you can't see the video as nice inside the form, if it says YouTube on the bottom, you can click on that and it'll bring you back to the regular YouTube link. But it's going to be probably easier for you to watch the video inside the form. And if you have questions or problems with the video or the form, let me know. Question number 1, what is the title of the story? Is it Seeing Stars, Donna Latham, Expository Text, or Reading Streets? Click on the answer that you think is correct. Tap in the color and scroll down. Number 2, what's the author's purpose? Inform, persuade, or entertain? Tap and scroll. In the story, it tells you about the colors of the stars, and it makes a connection to our vocabulary word, temperature. Which color of stars have the hottest temperature? Red stars, white stars, yellow stars, or blue stars? That comes from the text. So you're going to listen to the story first, find the answer, and then check your answer. Number 4, sunlight fills the sky to make stars invisible. What does the word invisible mean? Not noticed, not bright, not able to be seen, or not understood. What does the word invisible mean? Number 5, a question from the story. Which of the following was not test-taking strategy? 3 of them are, and one of them is totally wrong. Something that stargazers name constellations after. A constellation is a picture that you can make with the stars. You'll see lots of them in our story. Which one of these is not something that constellations came from? People, animals, characters from stories, or shapes? The answer is in the passage, in the story. You have to listen first, find the answer, and then go down. Number 6, which fact is true about the sun? 3 of these things are fake news, and one of them is correct. Which is it? The sun is the biggest star in the sky. The sun looks bigger than the other stars because it's closer to Earth. The sun outshines other stars because it's hotter, or the sun is just a massive planet that's right close to Earth. Which is correct, which is real information. Scroll down. Number 7, what is a telescope? The telescope, a tool used to measure temperature, a tool used to shrink objects, a tool used to count objects, or a tool used to make faraway objects look closer. What is a telescope? Number 8, the genre of the story is realistic fiction, fantasy, nonfiction, or drama. Number 9, in the text, it tells us about a stargazer. What is a stargazer? Is it a scientist who draws stars, people who look at stars, people who tell stories about stars, or scientists who give names to the stars? And then number 10, which of these events causes the sky to change from day to night? Why does it go from light to dark? Because people watch stars, because constellations come in, from Earth the stars travel, or because Earth spins through space and it orbits the sun? Why does it get dark at night? Whew, good questions. Really cool science connection that does our science for the week. All of these questions are right there, comprehension questions that come from the video. So you have to watch the story first. I had somebody submit the work to me already before we even did our Google Meet, and they did not get a good score. So I had to send it back to them, because if you don't do it nice, you have to do it twice. So I've got some sad friend that's going to do it a second time. They didn't watch the video and they guessed. Please do your best work. I know it's hard getting back to school, and I know that this may not make sense to you, but we are in the 3rd quarter. You are almost 4th graders. New grades start, new activities start. You need to be doing your best work. So that's that. This is the end of your Google Meet. You're going to go to the Google Classroom and watch the video to do today's form activity, and then you're going to Lexia. It's 9:15. You have until 9:45 to worry about reading.